Devlog number 23. Got basically just two things to talk about today. Been focusing on two specific areas of this game. Been noticing in the last few videos, for some reason, my video capture doesn't do too well with like these animations. They're nice and smooth on my main screen, but in capture somehow they're dropping a bunch of frames. So like when the game runs it's fine, but somehow it doesn't record right, even in a window. I don't know, that's something I still need to look into, but it's, you know, it doesn't directly affect the game, just like if you want to record it. Anyway, yeah, so I did my usual fixing of all the problems that I saw in the previous devlog. This screen all looks the same, text field behaves a bit better, just little stuff that's not even really worth mentioning. So main two things I worked on. Number one, as soon as I go in here, you're going to see a fairly significant change to this screen. So I made the battlefield tiles much larger and sort of changed the perspective of what's on here. So like, it's sort of from more isometric side-on perspective. I've doubled the size of the champion icons and gave them a little bit of color. The imps aren't perfect, but you know, they're a little more distinctive now. So you know, they still have their small icon, but instead of drawing just the small icon on top of the tiny little tile icon, I have bigger full color things, and this is actually an arbitrary size. I'm thinking you could have like a very large champion graphic that, you know, was this tall, for example. Like maybe with the giant that I have in a later encounter. I'll look at what I've done with all the other icons in a little bit. For now, I just did a very literal upscale of the icons I was using and redrew them at the double resolution to look right. Some of them got color, some of them didn't. These particular player champions did not. So we just got this hand holding a sword, hand casting a spell for those two. But the imps are like actual little creatures. Okay, right. This stuff is still here for now. It's sort of my next step on this line of thinking. Because I think I like this visual direction. There's still a lot of tweaks to make. I don't know if I want outlines for these things, because, you know, all these colors kind of mush together a little bit. I don't know if I even have those colors right. This dirt is a little too saturated. Little things to tweak. So like if I go back to this encounter where there's grass, that's what it looks like. You know, grass icon is just that. I don't have a place in the game where the colored small version of the tile shows up. So it's just a large full color one and a small black and white icon. Small icons are probably going to get colors for everything at some point. I just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's see something else. Yeah, let me go to just this basic encounter here and use an existing solution. So when I go into battle now, there's this big white box below. Why is that? I finally replaced my terrible battle log text that was centering. Once again, less space here than over here. Why do I only see centering when I'm recording one of these videos? It's just how it happens sometimes. Always centering problems. Forever. Okay, so anyway, got this big white box here. So remember that terrible combat log text that was like centered and never fit and just kind of scrolled for the current turn? I replaced it with this much better system. So that was like thing number 2 that I worked on. So number 1 was the perspective of this and double resolution icons. Number 2 was the combat log. So each turn step that happens gets its own line in here with the icon of the champion who was affected or took the action. So, you know, all the effects and stuff still go off. The sounds play the same. I have some color coding here. There's sort of a gradient for each, so you can see each turn boundary. Like you'll see 2 blue ones next to each other if I have 2 player turns, just so you can tell, glancing at the lines, which is which. Current line is highlighted in a much lighter color. So right, enemy turns are red colored, player turns are blue colored. That's not very distinctive when it's the white line, but I think it's fine as it is. So anyway, instead of just showing current turn and then resetting at the end of it, it keeps a running log of the entire combat. And there's a scroll bar. I can scroll around and see what happened earlier. Did I see? No, it's fine. Is it? Yeah, I think so. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I can go through the whole battle like this. And here's a cool thing. So if I replay the turn, it goes back there. These are gray to show that they happened in the future based on what the current position in battle is. Like the log remembers them. And I can click any line in here to jump to any point in combat that's been seen so far. Scroll up and down, drag the scroll bar, do whatever you want. So yeah, you can just random access, seek through the entire battle to see what the state of everything was at any event here. And it's pretty cool. And if you don't want to use the mouse, I can lock focus on this and use the gamepad to navigate to those. I have 2 new gamepad bindings for scroll up and down. Right, I can't do it when focus is locked. When I'm just pointing at this and I'm on the outside, I can use the right stick now to scroll up and down. It's not super great, but it's good enough. When focus is locked, I can scroll up and down like this. And I can hold the menu alternate button to go up and down by pages. Or like page to the start and beginning of what you're looking at. Let's see, and then when I resume combat, it scrolls it so that the next thing that happens is down at the bottom. Because this is still going through stuff that was already seen because I went to the past, and now a new thing comes in. Yeah, it all works great. So that's pretty nice. Much better combat log. I'm a little iffy on this whole luck focus thing, because like it's not super clear. I draw that little orange frame around it so you can see when focus is locked. But like the change in behavior is maybe not the most intuitive thing now that I look at it. Oh, I fixed a crash, by the way, unrelated to anything I'm saying here. Some of the crashes I was seeing, I think were because I was handling mouse events in a funny way around this area. If I had my mouse anywhere over here when I transitioned screens, it used to crash. But now it doesn't. So anyway, yeah, got a combat log here, and it's cool. Yeah, okay, so now that I'm looking at this with this kind of eye, I'm not entirely happy with menu navigation and, like, focus locking. I need to be able to point at spots on the battlefield, I think. Will these go away? These will probably have... I'll probably make, like, a thing pop up here for the current turn's actor and target. Oh, targets can be multiple. Okay, so current turn's actor, current turn's steps target. So actor on the left, target on the right. Maybe. Maybe I want to keep the left-right for... Ooh, that's weird. Okay, so on Imp's turn, Imp is the actor. With this action, Warrior is the target. Do I want left for actor, right for target, or left for enemy, right for player? I don't know, they're both weird in their own way. If I want to pop up a thing to show like what current action is going on. I might also want to replay effects and sounds if I'm like going from here to here. Yeah, clicking one of these, like this action right here should look and sound the same as... Whoa. Oh right, I had to unlock focus there because like this frame was here. Clicking anywhere that's not here will consume the click, even if... Oh, that's bad. I can't have buttons highlight when that's true. Okay, yeah, lots of polish needed here. And clicking here doesn't lock focus because with the mouse, I can just scroll with a scroll wheel. Okay, yeah, so I spent, like, most of my time was spent on all the little oddities of this. Anyway, what I was trying to say was, like, if I'm here and I click here, that should look and sound the same as if I'm here and I click this button. Okay. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on all the nuances of this because it was kind of complicated. Oh, by the way, in addition to having, this is the first actual scroll bar that went into my game here. The other place where scrolling existed was in lore view. And I ported over the same scroll code from the battle event log. Why is my cursor disappearing? Ooh, that's a new thing. If I just barely touch my right stick, it decides, okay, since the analog stick is now... Alright, yeah, there are some nuances here. Since the analog stick now has an action assigned to it, when I move that stick any amount at all, the game's deciding that I'm in gamepad mode then, and hiding the cursor. but I shouldn't do that unless I actually move the stick enough to scroll. Okay, that's an important nuance. All right. It's going to be a little complicated to fix, but I think I kind of know how to do it. Anyway, yeah, so this scroll bar works the same. I can scroll wheel, I can drag, I can menu up and down, I can menu alternate to page up and down. So yeah, those are the two current instances of scrolling in this game. Okay, yeah, so let's... So right, I showed off how all that works. Yep, all works great. And you know, if I just play the battle, it just looks like that, etc. Let's go around and show off all the high-resolution icons. There aren't that many. I only did full-resolution ones for this scenario. So we've seen the grass tile, the dirt tile, the imp, the warrior, and the mage. Other things here are giant. Now, I'm not too happy about this. So I had this weird, like, ugly giant face thing. Ooh. Okay, yeah, that's just the... Oh yeah, my input mode, because like I'm fidgeting with my right stick right now as I'm moving my mouse on my gamepad. Yeah, okay, that needs some nuance. There should be like a cooldown on changing input modes. Like if I just touched my mouse, then it should be locked into mouse mode for like the next second or so before I can use the gamepad. Oh, I don't know about that. Visually, at least. Many little nuances. Weird things to think about. Anyway, yeah, so the giant. Again, I did a literal upscale and redraw at that resolution, and I hate the way this came out. That's really super horrible. I think a better thing to do would be to use this little icon as a base, or just like draw something new here, because I never liked this face much. It's weird. It has one eye and like this big weird shaped mouth that didn't look right. I guess this is a nostril? One eye, one nostril? I don't know what I'm doing with this art. This one came out bad. I don't like it, but that's what it looks like now. So instead of a giant floating head coming out of the ground, what I'd rather do is like take this head, put it on top of an actual body, and have this large sprite here facing the party, and that would look a lot less terrible. Maybe, I hope. This one's also not in full color because I wasn't happy with just the way it is in general. And then the ooze. Ooze turned out fine. Ooze is cool. Gave it sort of a cyan color, and right, the ooze battle takes place in water, which doesn't really technically mean anything, but, you know, that's what it looks like. Ooze in water. Yep. Right, and this one's just against a giant again, so that's what a giant looks like on grass. Exciting. Right, anyway, and if I went to, like, showcase scenario, I didn't increase the resolution of these. It's just using... Okay, right, but there is a sigil tile here. So it's still just using those icons at that size. So it looks the same, just it's the same size, doesn't scale up at all. Archer sits on the sigil. What's the sigil? Ooh, that's barely visible there. Well, yes, I mean, that's not a champion icon. I just borrowed my range icon to use for that. So, like, I need to redraw that anyway. Energized, used by energy, changes by 1 per turn. That's right, all this stuff. Whoa. Yeah, okay, parentheses do match. It just looks funny. Yeah, that's not completely unreadable if I know what I'm looking for. It's not great, though. There's a lot of stuff in this game now. Like, I've been working on this for, what is it, 2 years now and change? Something like that? 1 year and change? When did I start this project? I've been working on this for so long that I'm forgetting a lot of things that I've already put in the game. And there's a lot more that still needs to go in. Do I have any solutions to this already? I don't. Okay, and I don't want to mess with that right now. Any other scenarios worth looking at? Yeah, so the UI limit stress test, UI limit stress test, etc. Because the battlefield tiles are so much larger now, not as many fit on screen, I decided I would make 5x5 the maximum battlefield size for anything, and that seems perfectly reasonable. I don't think you'll ever need anything larger than that. That also helps for the move command, now that I think about it. Because, like, the size of this menu depends on battlefield size. Woohoo! Yeah, okay, so for 5x5, that's large enough. That's as large as it needs to be. Do I like this UI? I don't know, it's okay. Hey, there's something I never showed. I meant to show it once and completely forgot. This was like several devlogs ago. Let's look at it briefly right now. The way it's determined how far a champion can move is based on a formula that I never actually showed. So if I go to UI limit scenario, sure, let's do that one. I think I just have a move formula that's like a top-level formula like the speed formula. So yeah, speed formula is actor stat speed, has a minimum of 1. The move formula, has a bunch of ifs in it. Right, so move formula is invoked for every tile offset to check whether that would be a legal move or not, and this returns a Boolean value. A 0 or 1, depending on whether that's going to be a legal move or not. So I can express actually a lot of different move patterns here. I can say you can only move orthogonally, so this is measuring Manhattan distance, and you have a move stat of 1, I guess. Let's see, is there another place I can see this? Maybe did I do this in showcase scenario? Actions, move. Okay, you still can only move by 1. Do you have any more move? No, you don't. Did I do this in test scenario? So I could have the axes be independent. So, say like warrior could actually move the amount of their move stat on both X and Y, but like this is just not happening. There is a move stat here, move equals 1. Not used in any formula though. Is that true? What's my test scenario formula? I haven't looked at this in a while, and it turns out there are some weird things about it. Okay, if row offset is less than 0, then negate it. Right, yeah, so I need to... Okay, yeah, so the inputs to this formula are row offset and index offset. What those names mean is that, so a row is a horizontal move. Well, a row is, a row is a column. So this is row 0, this is row 1. If I'm in row 1, then moving forward 1 would move me to row 0. So that's -1 on the row. Moving back 1 would move to row 2, which doesn't exist. Right, and this gives me the warning icon because that's outside the range of your move. At least at the time that I input this action, but things could happen like the move stat could change mid-combat, and the move that I input on this setup screen could become valid by the time it actually executes. Potentially. So anyway, idea is... Right, so row offset and index offset are signed integers as input to this. Their values are these two numbers. So -1 for row offset, 1 for index offset. So those get input to this move formula. This particular move formula takes the absolute value of them. So this is an absolute value function, essentially. Maybe I should add one of those to my formula syntax so that I don't have to do this if every time. The if's not too hard, though. So yeah, if row offset less than 0, then negate it. If index offset is less than 0, then negate it. This isn't destroying any data that's like outside the formula. Any value that comes in is like a function parameter, so I can mutate it inside the function if I want to. And then if LHS formula... Right, yeah, so this is Manhattan distance. If I add the the absolute value of the row offset to the absolute value of the index offset, and that is less than or equal to the actor stat of move, which both of those champions have 1, then I return true, the value of 1 here, and allow that move to go through. I know I had a place where something could move by more than that. What scenario was that in? I can't show this one. I've decided not to show... And at some point I should show this scenario because there's nothing I haven't decided for sure if I'm going to build this out into a full scenario that, like, I wouldn't want to spoil in videos like this. This one I know I'm not. This one is for the specific purpose of showing just whatever during this, so I can show all of that. But yeah, this is the real scenario that I don't want to show at all here, because I want that to be unspoiled. Map test scenario I don't think has anything of interest in it. No, there's nothing here. This is just for the map. There's nothing in the actual encounters. Okay, well, anyway. So yeah, the larger icons and tiles and the combat log were pretty much all I managed to get done, but I think they're reasonably polished looking as they are. You know, I need colors on these icons. Some of them need to be redone, like the giant that I really don't like, but some of them came out great. I'm real happy with this ooze here. And like, so for graphics like this, in this test scenario, which is essentially a throwaway, you know, this is the one that I use while developing just to try out my stuff. It's kind of become my default here. The showcase scenario's purpose is to be shown during this devlog for building things with us together, basically. And it really needs some attention. This grass is a little too busy. I should reduce the contrast on it. There's too much going on in the grass compared to what's in the foreground. It needs to stay in the background. Sigil's okay. This also needs to be desaturated. I guess that's stone there with some kind of thing on top. This doesn't look like a sigil drawn in stone. This just looks like, you know, a printed out sticker pasted on top of a stone surface. So this is not really stylized the way that I think I would like it to be. So yeah, oh right, and one other thing that I did want to mention, I kind of got distracted. The combat log adapts its initial size to the size of the battlefield grid. So if I go in here and into 5x5, the battle event log has only 5 lines on it. But if there's room to expand when this is smaller, like if I go all the way back to test scenario encounter 1 with just 1x1 encounters on both sides. Here's the maximum size. It gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. So yeah, it just expands to fill up the space. The space taken up by the battlefield may shrink during combat, where like if I have, you know, a 5 tall row in the front and I lose that ground and I only have a 1 tall row in the back and the enemy only has a 1 tall row, then the battlefield will get smaller. But that still, like say if this row were larger than anything else in the combat, and when I lose that ground, which is going to happen at some point here, you die, player team loses 1 row of ground, and then that goes away. This doesn't resize itself, it's just based on initial size, just to keep things from moving around on the screen too much. And like, if you're clicking around in it, have this resize on you while that's going on. Yeah, so it just picks its initial size when this screen initializes each time I come to it. Anyway, yeah, so next step as far as this stuff is concerned is probably to take, oh right, I'm fidgeting with my control stick again. I clicked and then I fidgeted and my cursor went away and that animation played. Anyway, yeah, next step is to probably take these away, replace what you see here on the combat screen with just actor and target, I guess, for each turn step probably, and what's shown here with focused champions. So these, okay, yeah, so this will be of a different nature. It looks very similar here to how it looks here. They are different, but it's very similar. I'll just have one thing up top here. The one thing that'll be up top will be equivalent to this thing down here that pops up when I roll over or point at an encounter on the map. So that would show up when I roll over or point at a champion or tile, and give all the relevant information you might want to see at a glance for that. I guess it wouldn't be a point of interaction, since this one is not. I can't really point at it because if I try to point at it, then it goes away. So it would just show information, and if you want to interact with the champion, you have to go here to the tile and do this 2-click thing, Yeah, still not sure how to do that interaction. But anyway, that's the next step along the UI evolution for these two screens. But I really just needed to get the larger size tile and champion stuff in there to see how it would look. All right, cool. Yeah, so those are the things that I've done. I'm like actually doing game stuff now, getting these screens whipped into shape. Once I'm satisfied with, actually probably like as soon as I'm satisfied with this thing in the combat and this thing on the encounter setup screen, then I can go back to scenario design and we can revisit the showcase scenario and finally do something more with it, build it out a little more, actually mess with real game mechanics, because I feel like I've been neglecting my scenarios, the actual level design of this game. Been doing so much UI work, because this game is 90% UI, but it needs to not be. It needs to be like 30% UI and 70% level design. This will live or die by its level design. And it worries me that I'm this late in the project without having put more effort into that. Because yeah, I'm going to come clean here. This has almost nothing in it. I know the setting of my main scenario. I kind of sort of know what the main character is going to be. I know like one or two encounters and I have a bunch of ideas jotted down, but I have no structure. I have nothing. Let's click this button. Whoa! That is not what I expected to see. Wow. Okay, you know what? Let's not click this button. I don't know what I laid down there. There's something that I just won't show, but wow, got a text bug going on here. That's fascinating. Okay, let's not click that button. It's fine. There might be something in there. I haven't touched it in a while. I'm not totally sure what's here. Oh, I did make a small change that when I select, here, let's do this with the gamepad. When I select this with the gamepad, my cursor goes there, so I can just press the button and immediately play there. Did some other little polish things, like if I'm in mouse mode and I press the cancel button, it doesn't have to bring up the... Excuse me? Why did you do that? Oh no, it's keyboard only. That's right. So if I'm in mouse mode and I use the keyboard to press escape, then it goes back. But with the gamepad, that's a different kind of mode change. Okay, so I thought of this. Anyway, yeah, so I want the escape key to respond immediately and not have to first change the thing and tell you, hey, your menu cursor is here. You're pressing escape, so you don't care about that. Anyway, yeah, so next thing up on my list is replace these and replace these. And we'll see what that looks like when I get to it. I'll see you then.